What if printing more money could wipe out your life savings overnight? In Hungary's hyperinflation, the value of all banknotes in circulation became worth just 1,1000 of a US cent. Discover the shocking truth behind why governments can't simply print their way to prosperity. And who really pays the price, so let's talk about why governments can't just fire up the printing press and solve all their problems. The basic idea is that if you suddenly have a lot more money floating around but the same amount of stuff to buy, the prices of everything go up. Imagine a simple economy where people buy and sell books. If there are $10 million total in the whole country and that money buys a million books at $10 each, then suddenly the government prints another $10 million. People now have more money, but there are still just a million books. More people are going to want to buy books. So the shops start charging more. Instead of $10, those books might now cost $20. You doubled the amount of money, but you didn't create any more books. So all that happened is everything got more expensive. The GDP shows a growth, but that growth is just illusion. You might think you have more money, but if a loaf of bread, a gallon of gas, or a book costs twice as much, you're not really any better off. Now, what's so bad about those higher prices? Well, a lot of things. For one, it eats away at your savings. If you have money in the bank and suddenly everything costs more, your money doesn't go as far, you can't buy as much with it. Also, high and unexpected inflation creates chaos for businesses. If they don't know what their costs will be next month, it's really difficult to invest and plan for the future. Then you have to think about menu costs. Imagine a restaurant having to print new menus every week or even every day, just to keep up with rising prices. All of this makes running an economy very hard. Now, national debt and borrowing for the government. The main point is investors trusting the government. Governments borrow money all the time. They do it by selling bonds, basically promises to pay back the money later with interest. People buy those bonds because they think the government is good for its word and that inflation will stay relatively low. They rely on a good price index. Now, if the government starts printing a ton of money, investors get worried, because the bonds may end up being paid back with money that is worth far less than when they bought the bond. The government may need to start paying higher interest rates to tempt people to loan the money in the first place. To understand the risks, it can be helpful to look at some historical examples to see how bad things can get. Take Weimar Germany in the 1920s. After World War I, the German government was struggling to pay back war debts and decided to print money. The inflation got so crazy that people were using money as fuel and kids were using it as toys. It became worthless. Hyperinflation was also seen in Zimbabwe in the 2000s. Due to several complex reasons such as land reforms and economic mismanagement, the government started printing money that made the local currency so useless that people started trading the Zimbabwean dollar for other money. This all boils down to if you increase the supply, the demand drops. It will also cause a lot of currency devaluation too. Now, let's dig a little deeper into why a currency becomes less valuable when lots more of it is printed. The value of currency goes up and down depending on a number of different things. If country A prints a lot more money and causes big-time inflation, there is going to be a price imbalance. The result of the price imbalance is you will need a lot more country A's money to buy anything. Investors, big and small, will want to buy another stable nation's currency. This means they aren't buying as many goods, exports. Basically, country's currency becomes worth less if they keep printing it. All this said, there are some situations where printing money might not cause inflation. In a recession, when there's very little spending and even some deflation, falling prices, it can be okay to increase the money supply. It is really about the rate and economic expectations. This is because during economic deflation, there is already a low velocity of circulation. Quantitative easing refers to when central banks buy government bonds. That puts extra money into the system, but with a condition: the people actually lend to small and medium enterprises. If they don't, it does very little to ease any financial conditions. High inflation can affect a lot of different households, but we need to be cognizant that a lot of wealth is simply moved around to those already at the top. This is also evident during deflation periods. Inflation tends to hurt low-income households the most. If you don't have a lot of spare cash, you spend a bigger share of your income on things like food and gas. The wealth distribution changes as lower-income households have a financial burden, which they are unable to service. We can also consider the wealth distribution regarding race and ethnicity. Black and Hispanic communities also had greater inflationary pressure, which affected their respective household savings. So where does this leave us? In comes central bank independence and credibility. This refers to how independent central bank is from political motives and actions. We have to ensure a level of independence. A monetary policy can help, but This could involve increasing interest rate. Fiscal measures such as tax increase could also cause an effective reduction. A big problem with many countries is they lack credibility among the people. A strong and well-respected central bank can be an incredibly powerful tool when times are tough. Central banks and governments need to carefully think before resorting to extreme actions that might have terrible results for the future. The problems that were discussed in this video are well known, but it is also essential to explore certain frameworks that could help avoid such inflationary and disinflationary environments. For example, Taylor rule can act as a great rule of thumb to understand monetary supply. This brings us to the end of the video. If you liked this video, then hit that like button and share with your friends. Also, make sure to subscribe for more videos.